All right. So, my Stars on Mars, episode 8 review. And this was a fun episode. It was an interesting challenge. So, it starts off with Portia. And I guess nobody should be surprised that she has fake eyelashes. I always thought it was obvious, but anyway. So, you see her putting on her eyelashes, which in a certain way is foreshadowing. But anyway. And she's decided that she wants to become base commander. She feels that it's her time, that she should be next up in the pecking order because she's one of the original ones, and I think it was just her and Lance who haven't been base commander, and Lance doesn't want to be base commander. So I'm going to say that she felt that it was her right to become base commander simply because of seniority. So she decides she's going to put her name out for base commander. So while she's putting herself in order, she jumps sky high when the emergency alarm goes off, which, they should have come up with a better way of it's time for you to come up with a base commander, because then when they have their missions, nobody is running around trying to figure out what's wrong because, well, it's nothing important, it's not a real emergency. Not the best tact, but it is a simulation, so it's not like anyone's gonna end up getting killed. We hope. So she's jumped sky high, and everybody goes to find out what's going on. And by this point, nobody is running. Actually, maybe Adam was. There were a couple of people who were running to find out what was happening, but for the most part, people were like, doop-dee-doop-dee-doo. So, time to pick a new base commander. And before Portia has a chance to nominate herself, I believe it was Lance. Lance nominated Kat. He felt that, she's strong, she's no nonsense, she would be a good base commander. And before this, we see them bonding over how they grew up. That Lance never knew his father because, well, they got divorced before, when he was a kid, well, practically a baby. And that Armstrong is his stepfather's name. And that Kat was adopted, so somehow they were bonding over that, which, okay. So Kat and Lance seem to be getting along great. Kat is nominated by Lance to become base commander. And Andy asks, is anybody else want to become base commander? And Portia puts her name into contention, saying that basically it's her right because, she's one of the first ones and she's waited such a long time and blah, blah, blah. So Ariel seconded Kat's nomination. And Ariel mentioned, I can't understand why Kat is friends with Lance, but I don't have to understand it. So at least she understands that people are friends with the strangest types, but yet are friends with you, and you're like, how? So at least she's aware, but so Kat had already told everybody, which means that she's probably in a lot of trouble for next episode if she does anything remotely wrong, because she decided right then and there that's going to be between Lance and Ariel. She's not even hiding that she's going to give mission specialist to one of her friends. And her reasoning is that they both advocated for her. So it's going to be one of those two. Which, ew. Like I said, that's not a good sign. So everybody is going to do a blind vote. Marshawn said he's going to vote for Lance. Portia thinks that he's joking. And once tries to hunt him down to get him to vote. So there's one vote for Lance, one vote for Paul. I'm guessing Paul voted for himself. That's my guess. 2 votes for Portia, which were Tinashe and Adam, and 3 votes for Kat. And Portia is pouting. Now, she seems to get over it decently quickly. Unlike Kat and Andy, who had an adult conversation talking about why Andy put Kat and Paul into the bottom 3. Which, just think about this. Kat is not just pissed that she was put in the bottom 3, but both she and Paul were. So, considering who she ends up putting in the bottom 3, I'm sorry, what? But anyway. So, but Andy starts a conversation with her. They clear the air, they hug. Andy, ominously says that I don't think that that's the last of it. I don't think she's as good as she claims she is. Now, granted, the things that Kat did, the choices that Kat made, might have been influenced by that, but I'm not going to say everything was because she wanted to sock it to Andy. But anyway, first thing after Kat becomes base commander is that she has to assign tasks. And today's task is to go through the trash and find whatever can be recycled. And Lance wants to go out because he just likes to go outside. Okay, that's fine. And so she also sends Andy, which Andy found amusing, and he's like, yeah, not surprised. She's still sore about me putting her in the bottom 3. Now, that could be, or she just wanted to send the 2 old guys to do that job. Andy made the joke that at least, in the spacesuits, you can't smell the garbage. And Lance, for the 3rd time, which Andy points out that, Andy is now the oldest one here. Which, seriously, Lance, why? What, you guys are in your 50s. It's not like Andy is 80 or something. Why are you just paying such close of attention to his age? He's not, yes, he's older than you, but not by that much. And I know this because Lance and I are the same age. Andy is like 56. I mean, it's not that much older than us. Come on. So they go back in. So you can tell that, even though Lance keeps chiding Andy for being the oldest, I don't think he likes him. I really don't, because why are you constantly chiding him? I mean, you're claiming how you're happy that you're no longer the oldest one, but yet you keep bringing up that Andy is the oldest one. Why? But anyway, so they come in, And everyone goes about their day. And this is when they start making Lance out to be, I wouldn't say stupid, but definitely out of the loop. And that he's not as, that he's separate from the rest of the people who are left. Because Paul starts to talk to Lance about why he was fired from ESPN. And it turns out that, and Paul did this to himself, he posted a video of him playing poker with his boys. I seriously hope he meant his guy friends. I really, really hope that's what he meant by his boys. And because no, I have not seen the video, nor do I want to. That's not something I need to know anything about. So Paul is explaining to him that they were drinking, playing poker, and that there were girls there. Now, at least in this edit, and based on what Lance said to Tinashe, Paul didn't mention that they were strippers. He just mentioned that there are girls there. Okay, what's the big deal? So Lance asked Tinashe, or Paul asked Tinashe, if she'd seen his video. And she said yes, and that there were strippers there. And Lance's like, wait, you didn't say anything about strippers. You just said girls. And she goes, yeah, they were naked and shaking their asses. And it's like, and she was looking at him like, well, yeah. Okay, Paul didn't mention that part. If he mentioned that part, I would hope that Lance would have made the connection, but still. And I agree with Tinashe of what little I know. I don't see what the big deal is, unless he was abusing someone or doing something really horrible while drunk. I don't see the problem. The only problem I see is, I don't know if he was married at this time, but that's the only person he should be having an issue with. I don't see why his employer should have any say in his personal life. As long as, like I said, it's not something really horrible. You might question, how he chooses to live his life, but that's his life. He can do what he wants. As long as he's not hurting anyone, I fail to see the problem. So yeah, they made Lance look a bit foolish. And it's like, he shouldn't have been. Because he was just going off what information he was told. He did not see the video himself. So I failed to see what the big deal is. But anyway, so they go off, and like I said, everyone's having a good time. And then, emergency. A solar flare, because they notice that their lights are flickering. So there's a solar flare, and they're going to be about to be hit by another one, so they have to go fix the battery. And because if they're hit by another solar flare, the radiation could become too much or something. So they go out, and first Kat is trying to decide between Lance and Ariel. And before the emergency, Lance points out that as much as he loves going outside, there are certain people who are trying to not go outside. So, maybe pick me as a mission specialist so this certain someone could finally get her ass outside and actually do a mission. Which, isn't a horrible take by Lance. I mean, I can't really fault him for that, but at the same time, Lance, you're the first one to volunteer. So, how is this completely Ariel's fault? It's not completely her fault. I mean, you could always pipe up and say, Ariel's always a mission specialist or the base commander. Let her go outside for a minute. You could do that. But anyway, so, I guess he felt that he could say that to Kat because she's new and she doesn't know, his views that put him in the other camp, and which is ironic, but anyway. So maybe he figured that after what happened with everybody except for the new people, that it's would be easier to just say it to Kat. But anyway, Kat chooses Lance as her mission specialist. So all they have to do is go outside and change the cables because the previous cables were fried. So change the cables and then come back. Okay, easy peasy. So they all do that. And, I can see why Tinashe wanted Paul gone because he was like, wait, hold up, the cables are tangled. And someone, I don't know if it was Ariel, but someone said, well, then untangle them. Which, yeah, instead of, just saying that they're tangled, just try and untangle them. So I can understand that. I can definitely appreciate that. So they go out, and now I don't know if this was practiced or if this just happened to come up because I've done this before with other people. Lance and Kat said in unison that all the cables have to be plugged in at the same time, which I thought was awesome that they said it together. And so everything's going well. Okay, the cables have been replaced, so it's just time to go back. But oh no, another solar flare is incoming, so a protective shield has to be put on the astronauts. Unfortunately, that protective shield meant they couldn't see anything. So, because they can't see anything, they are at the mercy of Lance and Kat to lead them back to the hat. And this one was a nail biter. So, and they have to figure out, okay, who's going to be leading, who are they going to send next based on where everybody is. So, Tinashe is going to, at least initially, be the leader. So they first get Tinashe into place, and then Ariel has a little fun with them, saying that, just keep walking until you feel Tinashe. so she does that, and speaking of Tinashe, I forgot about this. The rest of the group, while Andy and Lance were out collecting trash and recycling, they were working on the plants. And one of the things they had to do was sing to the plants. Now, this would have been a perfect time to not only for those who aren't fans of Tinashe in the sense that they've never heard her sing before, like me, to not only sing, but sing maybe one of her songs, because I don't know what kind of music she does. So, if it's appropriate for, first that she can do unplugged, a cappella, or if it's, nice soothing music that you would sing to plants. But no, they come up with the national anthem. I don't know who came up with that brilliant idea, but Dear God, no. And then everybody starts singing. And I'm just screaming, I want to hear Tinashe. She's the singer. Let the singer sing. I wanted to hear her. I mean, this is a great opportunity for her to be seen by a wider audience, and maybe people would be interested in her music. But no, they're singing the national anthem and they're all singing. So not only can you not hear Tinashe sing, period. I mean, they eventually allowed her to sing a few bars by herself. But not only did you barely hear her sing, but she wasn't even singing one of her songs, which I would have liked to have heard. I mean, this is a horribly missed opportunity for her to bring her music to potentially more people. I mean, granted, at the time she couldn't know how many people would be watching, but it's still an opportunity to potentially reach an audience that isn't familiar with her music. But no, they did not do that. We had everybody singing, and I'm just like, oh God, please stop. I mean, none of them were horrible. I'm not going to say that, but it was like, no, I want to hear the singer sing. I don't want to hear you guys. I want to hear the singer. So yeah, that upset me. So so back to the mission. So so then they get Ariel into place, and slowly they're moving everyone into place. Andy couldn't shut up. And that's what did him in. Because he just would not, Kat asked him to clear the line so she could talk. So, and I don't know if it's just a matter of you could talk privately to each person, so Andy didn't hear all the other commands to all the other people, or he just couldn't hear well, or what, or he was just nervous and he was nervously talking and it was just shut up, Andy. I don't know what it was, but Andy kept talking even though he was told not to. Ariel started to talk, but when she was told to stop, and that's why I wonder, did these people have separate lines? Because, Ariel could have easily heard her conversation with Andy otherwise and be like, oh, I'm not supposed to talk. Okay, cool. But once she was told to stop talking, she stopped talking. And Lance, pointed out that this is the most quiet he's ever heard Ariel, which at least, he's like, yeah, that's mean. That's never stopped you before, Lance, from my understanding. So, why tell the camera? Maybe do some apologizing to Ariel? Whatever it is that Ariel's pissed off at you about at the moment. I don't know. But anyway. So, so they all get into line, and Tinashe is moving forward, and they put Paul and Marshawn in such a way that they could just join up to the front. Paul ended up in the back, I think. But so Marshawn ended up leading them. And Adam is incredulous that these are people who can see and they still can't see. And I don't know if it's about seeing so much as spatial awareness. Because first off, if you're in a mirror image, this is my left hand. So, but in a mirror image, it looks like my right hand. But, and then if you're talking about someone who's standing to the side, then you have to try to figure out, okay, which is left, which is right. It takes more than just, a quick, you have to actually move your body, or at least I do. I don't know about the others, but I do. So, I mean, heck, half the time when someone tells me, left, I have to remind myself which direction that is. So, anyway. Um, so it took them a while. And then Marshawn is walking. Lance is trying to get him around the rover. And he said, a rover. There are two rovers, apparently. And so Marshawn runs into the second rover. And I'm just like, I'm just glad it's Marshawn. I mean, I'm sure much harder things have run into you than a rover. I'm pretty sure a lot bigger, a lot stronger. I mean, it should be the football player. Yes, he's a running back, but he's been hit by big guys, so yeah. So Marshawn is making a big deal of um of Lance walking him into a rover, and not that much unlike the way Portia was acting when she was so convinced that Marshawn was, she was upset that Marshawn didn't give her his vote. Now, at first I thought she was just playing when she did that. And it turned out that, no, she was pissed. And unlike that, Marshawn was making it seem like a big deal. But when he was explaining it to, I think it was Tanisha, after they got back in, which, like, 9 seconds left or something, with Tinashe, he was, talking about what happened. Another reason why I question whether they have individual feeds in their helmets, and not that everybody can hear, when Lance was giving directions to Marshawn, or when someone was giving directions to somebody else. So that might be another reason why Andy just couldn't shut up, because everybody else was being given directions and he's like, wait, what about me? What's going on? So, but anyway, so Marshawn is telling, so they all come inside and everyone is so happy to be back in the hab, and then it's about to pick who is in the bottom three. So it's decided, Lance is like, it cannot be Ariel because that would be too political. Now, I'm not so sure about that, because at the end of the day, it is Kat's decision. And she did say how Ariel was one of the people who helped her out. So I don't know if she would have done that anyway, but so Ariel wasn't in the bottom three. So the bottom three turned out to be Andy, Adam, and Paul. So Paul's in the bottom three again. And like I said, I don't completely hate that, because, well, I can see where he said that the cables are tangled, but did nothing to untangle the cables until someone said, well, untangle them. So I don't know if that was Paul doing that or somebody else. So I get why he was in the bottom three. Ariel, yes, she talked, but at least she shut up after she was told to shut up. I felt bad for Adam, though, because, like he said, oh, we can't think of who to put in the bottom three, so let's just put in Adam. Oh, I love him. So, and this was a first. They started with Adam. Okay, why do you deserve to? Why do you think you're mission critical? And so he actually gave a legit answer, unlike the first time, which was just him being funny. And so he gave a very good answer. And then he asked, why do you think I'm in the bottom three? And she's like, it's not that you suck. It's just that, there's so many other people who did better. But it's not because you suck. And that's the way it is now. I mean, it's not about getting rid of scragglers for the most part, even though, according to Tinashe, Paul is one. But it's about who is the least good. And that's what Kat was telling him. It has nothing to do with you. It's just there were people who are more deserving. And I question that about Ariel exactly. I think that the main reason was just simply, and Ariel called it, she's like, I think he wants to mend bridges. It's mend fences, build bridges, but whatever. So she understands that this was Lance's attempt to show that he's not the bad guy that Ariel thinks he is. But, I don't know. Ariel seemed unimpressed. But anyway, so then we moved to Andy, and he gave his reasonings, and a lot of people wanted to keep Andy. Tinashe was like, oh yeah, the Kat's gonna get rid of Andy because, there's bad blood, and I honestly think it was just simply because Andy couldn't shut up. If he didn't give her the ammunition, she probably would have gone with Paul. But he gave her ammunition. So if you know that Kat is out to get you, why give her reasons to come after you? It's just makes sense. So then it was up to Paul, and he gave his reasoning, and then it was decided it would be Andy. And Andy's now thinking that as he's leaving, that maybe he should have voted for Portia. Which, maybe that would have helped. Maybe it wouldn't have. We don't know. I mean, chances are pretty good Portia would not have picked Andy to be her mission specialist. I mean, she's in a close alliance with Adam and Tinashe. So it probably would have been one of those two that she would have picked, not Andy. I mean, maybe she would have, but that is the only way he'd be absolutely, positively safe. And then it would be truly between him and Paul if they acted the way they did. Or maybe Kat would fall over again, and her trying to get up would cause them to lose the mission. In which case they probably would have gotten rid of Kat. We don't know. But there is no guarantee that Andy would have been safe if he had gone with Portia. There's just no guarantee there. So, like I said, they go in, everybody's having a good time, and Marshawn is talking about how Lance had him walk into a rover. And Tinashe is enjoying this story, and you can tell that Marshawn doesn't hold any grudges. He's having a good time about this. He's having fun talking about this. He doesn't hold any grudges against Lance. I mean, he's like, dude, but that's it. But Lance saw it as, I think I'm in trouble, because his bestie seems to have gone to the other side. And, so yeah, I don't know where he gets this idea because, like I said, maybe after a couple of weeks he reads Marchand better than I do, but I really think that he was just joking around, that he wasn't as upset as Lance thinks he was. But anyway, then Portia comes in without her weave. I think it's called a weave. And now, this is where Lance deserves a little bit of ridicule. Not that he didn't know that that was a weave, and that he actually thought that that was Portia's real hair. Not that. Because I wasn't completely sure either. That part doesn't bother me. But it's like, how did you get it to do that? As if haircuts don't exist? Or wigs? I mean, even if you've never heard of a weave, I don't see how that was the appropriate response. It's like, and he's like, it's just so weird. And I will admit, she looks completely and utterly different like that. And it would take me a minute to get used to that. But to say it's weird? I'm sorry, what? I mean, obviously Portia didn't give a damn. You know, she knows that she is who she is. Which is why I said the false eyelashes were kind of like foreshadowing, because instead of removing the damn eyelashes, which, considering their missions and the fact that you get all sweaty and everything, I don't know if it's practical to be wearing false eyelashes. I could be wrong. I don't know what goes all onto wearing them. But a trans woman I follow, sometimes she has problems keeping her eyelashes on, and all she's doing is sitting there looking pretty. So, not exactly. Well, yeah, maybe once or twice I noticed it, but so those things don't stay on very easily, so very well. So, yeah, I would think that taking those off would make more sense, and that would probably make Lance question that too, because anyway. So, and everybody starts talking, starts just going at Portia about how wonderful she looks, and they're all chatting and having a good time, and Lance is like off to the side looking very awkward. And I would be too, because it's one thing to say, oh, you look great like that or whatever, but to make a big deal of it, I just don't understand that. I really don't. Especially since Portia herself isn't exactly looking for validation. She's just, I don't know, giving her hair a break. Or it will literally break. So, that makes perfect sense. But anyway, it's to make you question whether Lance is next on the chopping block. And he could be. He could very well be. Portia could be on the chopping block. She and Marchand were going at it pretty well, because unlike Kat and Andy, who at least discussed the things like adults, Portia, not only was she yelling at Marchand, she wasn't letting him speak. It's like, tell me why you did this, and then she wouldn't let him speak, so how could he do that? So yeah, apparently everybody is getting on everybody's nerves at this point. So next week, I was kind of disappointed in Portia, because the first couple of episodes, whenever there were bumps in the night, she attributed it to aliens. I didn't hear one word about aliens, at least in the trailer. This is a missed opportunity, Portia. You already, at the beginning, you always talked about aliens, and now you have a good reason to mention it. because someone or something is rattling things. So now they have to find out who or what it is and get rid of it, I assume. So yeah, that's all I can say about next week. But that's going to be interesting to see if they're going to encounter a Martian and how they're going to go about dealing with this. Now, we haven't seen their doggies. They have 2 dogs, and ever since the new people came, we haven't seen them. And we did see them still after they sacrificed themselves. And Portia even pointed out that they're irradiated, or actually Tinashe did, that they're irradiated, so we're never going to see them again because we'd get radiation sickness. So I don't know if that's why we don't see them. Someone realized, oh yeah, we probably shouldn't be using the dogs anymore. Or there just wasn't a reason to have them around. But it could be one of the dogs that's causing all the racket. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. I believe that's all I have for this episode. So I will see you guys in the next video.